Hello and welcome to Wednesday Debate Live with Taghreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. Tonight we have the Indian spirit. We'll be talking about the 75 years of Egyptian-Indian relations, 75th anniversary of a strong partnership and a very solid foundation between both countries, Egypt and India, pillars of bilateral relations. Well, we'll be flying virtually to India, the country that stands for beauty, diversity and unity, where 7 of the most incredible natural wonders exist. Tonight, we'll be flying to India, where the beauty lies in nature's creations and is undeniably really stunning. Tonight, we'll know more about the lunar crater lake, the balancing rock, the heart-shaped lake, the valley of flowers, and more. No doubt that India has a multitude of natural diversity owing to its unique geographical location. India is probably the only country in the world having such a wide array of seasons. There are abundant, we have rainfall, winters, and also summer. So all of them pioneer together the beauty of India. Well, dear viewers, it's a new edition of Wednesday Debate Live, and I'm having all the honor of having with us live in the studio here at Nile TV International, His Excellency Ambassador Ajit Gupte, Ambassador of India to Egypt. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for joining Nile TV.
Thank you very much for having me over.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Knowing more about India, it's always great to talk about Egyptian-Indian relations, and this is really a very significant date where we are actually marking 75 years, the 75th anniversary of those relations. First, let's check our top stories and we'll be back. His Excellency President Sisi appoints Adli Zaid as head of the Administrative Prosecution Authority. The President appointed Zaid as President of the Administrative Prosecution Authority as per Presidential Decree number 394 for the year 2022. The decree will take effect as of September the 1st. Zaid obtained a bachelor's degree in law from Ain Shams University in 1974 and joined the Administrative Prosecution Authority 2 years later, serving in various judicial positions. He served also in the authorities' offices in Benha, in Alexandria, in Tanta, and in Shubra al-Khema, where he chaired the technical office. He's also a member of the Supreme Administrative Prosecution Council. Also making headlines earlier in the day, the 4th ordinary session of the African Ministers of Local Development Committee on Public Service, Local Governments, Urban Development and Decentralization, hosted by Egypt, was launched under the auspices of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to deepen cooperation and joint relations with countries of the African continent in the various fields. The activities of the African Ministers of Local Development Conference took place in the presence of delegates from 55 African nations and representatives of the United Nations Human Settlements Program, Habitat, and the World Food Program, the Organization of African Cities, local governments, and the UN Economic Commission for Africa. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said that Egypt has been able to achieve an unprecedented developmental leap that was based on giant infrastructure projects, as it is the gateway to sustainable development. This came during the Prime Minister's speech, which he delivered on behalf of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi during the work of the 4th regular session of the Committee of African Ministers of Local Development that was held in Cairo. The Prime Minister added in his speech that the features of the Egyptian experience will not be only limited to developing the infrastructure or the social facilities, but will handle and tackle all urban development issues to become more able to adapt to climate changes and to meet the aspirations of all Egyptians. In his speech, the Prime Minister conveyed the greetings and appreciation of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, adding that hosting Egypt to this conference reflects his commitment to developing the continent within the framework of Egypt's endeavor to put all its expertise to serve the African countries and governments, where infrastructure and a decent life for local communities are the challenges facing Africa. Madbouli praised the efforts of the experts in the preparatory meetings for this conference, noting that Egypt is always keen to support the African groups concerned with local development. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking tonight the 75th anniversary of the Egyptian-Indian relations, and my guest of honor is His Excellency Ambassador Ajit Gupte, the Indian ambassador to Egypt. Your Excellency, we'll be back right after this report highlighting relations to talk more and in depth about the pillars of our success story.
Egypt and India, two of the world's oldest civilizations, have enjoyed a history of close contact from ancient times. There's always a new momentum in the relations between the two countries and a shared desire to take it to a higher level. The bilateral relations between Egypt and India is based on multifold dimension. On the political front, India and Egypt share close political understanding based on long history of contacts and cooperation on bilateral, regional and global issues. Both countries have always cooperated closely on several levels. The year 2022 is of particular significance since it marks the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between India and Egypt. On the 75th anniversary of the Egyptian-Indian relations, Indian Embassy in Cairo showcases the current cooperation between the two countries. The Egyptian-Indian relations have greatly developed during the era of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the strategic, economic and cultural levels as well. In reference to the 75th anniversary of the Egyptian-Indian relations, the Indian Embassy in Cairo affirmed that a large Indian delegation will attend COP27, hosted by Egypt and Sharm el-Sheikh in November 2022. On the other hand, this year's edition of India on the Nile Banks Festival will take place on October 2022. The Indian Embassy noted that Egypt's hosting of COP27 showcases Egypt's ability to play a decisive role in global issues. Speaking of cooperation between the two countries, it's worth noting that Egypt bought from India 50,000 doses of anti-COVID-19 vaccine, while India bought from Egypt 300,000 doses of the antiviral. Also, Egypt sent 3 jets carrying medical aid to India in May 2021. As for trade exchange, it grew 75% in 2021-2022, recording its highest with $7.26 billion. Moreover, there are 50 Indian companies operating in Egypt, investing a total of $3.15 billion and creating 38,000 jobs in the sectors of clothing, agriculture, chemicals, energy, automotives and retail. The Indian Embassy underscored that those companies plan on injecting more $700 million in Egypt, especially that they expressed interest in the projects of green hydrogen and green ammonia. In addition, the institutional framework to bolster trade exchange and joint investments between the two countries has been activated earlier in 2022.
Egypt opens up to the world in the new republic and definitely expanding horizons with all countries of the world. A very strong foundation and partnership with India. We are marking 75 years, 75th anniversary of our solid relations. Your Excellency, it has been historic ties, binding both countries, Egypt and India, throughout the years, and this had reinforced actually our relations throughout history.
Well, this year is very important because India and Egypt are celebrating the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations. However, it is worth noting and recalling that India and Egypt are two of the world's most ancient civilizations. And our interaction goes back many thousands of years. It is believed that the pharaohs, when they wrapped the mummies, they are believed to have used some of the oils which were brought from India. Similarly, there are reports that some of the mummies had peppercorns in their nostrils to help preserve the mummies, and in those days the peppercorns were only grown in India. As far back as the 3rd century BC, that is 2300 years ago, our great emperor Ashoka recalled his interaction with Ptolemy II in his edicts. So our interaction has continued throughout the centuries, particularly between traders and the maritime links. In recent years, Mahatma Gandhi and Saad Zaghloul forged a good friendship, which was further taken forward by very close bonds between President Nasser and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. This also led to the foundation of the non-aligned movement, which played a very important role in safeguarding the interests of developing countries during the Cold War.
Yes.
In recent years, the interaction has continued. President Sisi visited India twice, in 2015 and 2016. Our Prime Minister was to come here in 2020.
Here is during the era of President Nasser, and definitely all this reflects the solid foundation between both countries, Egypt and India. Yes.
So we have also had a number of ministerial visits. Our External Affairs Minister had visited Egypt in 2015.
Here we go, late President Nasser.
President Nasser, yes, being received actually in my home state, that is Maharashtra, where the capital is Mumbai.
Oh yeah. So great history that binds both nations throughout time and throughout history, Ambassador. And this sense of link continues up till we have reached the new republic under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. We know that Egypt is before a huge event, a mega event, the COP27, and this is a very important conference where we are going to find representatives from all over the world coming to Egypt to participate and share. So definitely we cooperate with India in the field of climate action and climate change. And tell us more about India's participation, Ambassador, in COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Well, we are expecting a very important delegation from India. Our Minister of Environment will certainly be here. In addition, we expect a lot of Indian companies which are playing a leading role in developing renewable energy, and also a lot of NGOs to take part in COP27. I would like to point out that India has emerged as a very major developer of renewable energy, and we have developed 160 gigawatts of renewable, about 50 gigawatts of solar, 40 gigawatts of wind, and we have about 10 gigawatts of biomass. So we would like to share some of this technology with Egypt. Some of the Indian companies have already built very large-scale solar power plants near Aswan. And I am very happy to convey that just in the last 2 months, two of the leading Indian renewable energy companies, that is Renew Power and the Acme Group, have signed very important and very large-scale MOUs to develop green hydrogen in Egypt.
Yes, that's great news, Ambassador, and I guess that this is going to foster more relations, because this is here we can see back His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's visit to India, and that actually opened a new chapter in our bilateral relations.
Yes, President Sisi is inspecting the Guard of Honor at the President's house. It's known as Rashtrapati Bhavan in New Delhi.
Yeah. So during the presidential visit, many memos of understanding also has been signed, and agreements to follow up. How about Your Excellency, the past few years that has really contributed under the leadership of His Excellency the President to further foster relations in all domains between Egypt and India?
Right. So you see, after President Sisi's visits to India, there was continued interaction at the ministerial level. Our Defense Minister visited Egypt in 2017. Our External Affairs Minister had come in 2015. Your Defense Minister visited India in 2017, and Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry visited India in 2018 when the Joint Commission meeting took place. The last Indian minister to visit here was just before the pandemic started, and that was in 2019, our Minister for Civil Aviation and Housing and Urban Affairs. Now the pandemic unfortunately put a small sort of, let's say, a gap in the minister level interaction. But we will be giving some developments. You will be hearing of some development shortly. So we will be resuming minister level visits in the near future.
Yes, definitely those important visits, seeing eye to eye vis-a-vis regional and international relations. And we can see how Egypt is now featuring prominently in India's foreign policy ambassador. So they both countries see eye to eye vis-a-vis regional and international relations.
That's right. Both countries have a very good background and history of cooperation in multilateral forums. We support each other's candidature in many forums, whether it is the UNESCO or the IMO or United Nations, etc. And we are appreciative and grateful for the support that Egypt has provided to many of our candidates, and this is being done on a reciprocal basis. In addition, we have a similar view on many issues, whether it is fighting climate change. Food security now is becoming a very important issue. We cooperated closely during the COVID-19 pandemic, where we had sent the vaccines. In fact, I got my vaccines in Egypt shortly after I came, and those vaccines had come from India, AstraZeneca vaccines. And Egypt also came to India's help when we had the Delta wave, because Egypt sent 3 aircrafts with a lot of medicines and medical supplies. And also we had procured 300,000 doses of remdesivir.
Yes, economically also, and bilateral trade between Egypt and India has been significantly increasing throughout the years. The volume of trade exchange between both countries increased by 75%, and this is a very optimistic figure. That was in 2021, 2022. So reaching 7.26 billion US dollars, right, Ambassador?
Yes, yes. Well, I've been here a year and a half, and I'm happy to report that the trade has increased very significantly. It's almost doubled in 1 year. 75% is enormous. It's the highest ever by far. I mean, earlier we had only reached until about 5 billion, but this is a very big jump. And also, when we have looked at the data, we are happy and satisfied that most of the items have grown. So most of Egypt's exports to India have grown, and similarly India's exports. So it is not a narrow increase. And in the first 3 months, we have continued to sustain the growth. So I am hoping to break more records this year. What has happened is that there is a good complementarity between the two countries. Egypt is exporting items like crude petroleum, natural gas, fertilizers, citrus fruits. Oranges from Egypt are going to India, raw cotton, and India is sending items such as buffalo meat, beef. India's largest provider of beef to Egypt. We also send a lot of cars, we make them here, engineering products, machinery, cotton yarn,
agriculture, clothing,
yes, cotton
chemicals.
Yarn, chemicals,
Yeah.
yes. So there is a lot of complementarity.
Yes, and automotive. So we have lots and lots of fields of cooperation between both countries, and we have also Egyptian investors who are really very much adamant to venture into the Indian market and to do business and expand their business. How far is the Indian market, quite providing incentives for Egyptian businessmen to do business, Ambassador?
Well, there are a few Egyptian companies which have invested in Egypt, the El Savedi Group. Recently we've had, there is Kapki Paints, and recently we've had an investment in the IT sector. I also happened to visit some other Egyptian companies while I've been here, and I've been encouraging them to look at India more keenly.
Yeah, we had during the presidential visit, lots of memos of understanding had been signed between both countries, and Indian businesses seek to inject additional investments that are worth 700 million US dollars in the Egyptian market, as well as several Indian firms who are showing interest also in green hydrogen and also green ammonia ventures. And this is in light of the recent memo of understanding that was signed mainly to invest around $8 billion in clean energy. So clean energy is considered to be a very promising field of cooperation, Ambassador.
That's right. Well, as you mentioned, Indian companies have invested about $3.2 billion. I would like to emphasize that their investments have mainly been in large-scale manufacturing. So this is not investment in hotels or residential complexes which are bought and sold, but they are mainly invested in setting up factories which make things like chemicals, petrochemicals, automobiles, some garments, accessories, pharmaceuticals, etc. And another interesting thing is that most of the Indian investments are export oriented. So they are making niche products which are exported to the developed markets, whether it is Europe, North America, Latin America, etc. So according to our estimates, Indian companies are contributing about $1.5 billion worth of exports for Egypt, which is very, very important. Now, the recent developments that you mentioned, many of these companies have been here for a long time and they are expanding their capacities. They are building new factories. But the MOUs on green hydrogen are by far the largest new investment. There's one company, Renew Power, which is promised to invest $8 billion. And the other company, Acme Group, envisages an investment of $6 billion. So that is $14 billion of additional investments, mainly in developing solar power, which will then be converted through electrolyzers to split water into hydrogen and oxygen. And the hydrogen is then to be combined with nitrogen to make ammonia.
Yeah.
So these are very, very large and very significant investments.
Yes, cultural relations and soft power has been such a lovely bridge between both countries. Also, if we're talking vis-a-vis people-to-people relations, the Egyptian people are very much fond of the Indian culture and the Indian music and Indian songs. Look at the fans of Amitabh Bachchan, for instance, throughout the years. Millions of Egyptians have been fans watching Bollywood movies. So what is the secret, Ambassador? Why do you think the Indian, culture and music and songs and beat is so much popular with Egyptians?
Well, well, one thing is that Bollywood has captivated audiences all over the world.
Hearts of audiences
all over the world.
Yeah.
So it's very popular. I mean, whether it is Russia or Japan or Southeast Asia, Central Asia, it is extremely popular. So there's something universal about Bollywood. But I think it is what I find very interesting here is that almost every Egyptian I meet associates closely with Indian culture. They've all watched Bollywood, which is different from other countries because you might have, say, 5% of the population in, say, Germany following Bollywood, but the rest of them are not really. But here almost everybody is. And one of the reasons I think is that you can relate to the Indian movies, their stories, because our values are similar. We attach a lot of importance to our families, a lot of importance to children. So there's a similarity in the values. And people like the Indian story, the movies, the dance, the music.
Yes.
So I find that it has a very deep resonance here in Egypt. Now, more recently, I find that many Egyptians are also enthralled by yoga. And a lot of them are doing yoga, and yoga, of course, is very beneficial for one's health. It can be done very easily at home. You don't need to go to a stadium or a fitness gym, spend a lot of time. It can be done easily, and particularly as one grows older, it helps to maintain the flexibility, the suppleness of the body, and it can also help to prevent many diseases like hypertension, diabetes, etc. if yoga is done in a proper way.
Yes.
So I find that yoga is becoming more and more popular in Egypt.
Well, we'll talk about yoga, but why not enjoy the enormous beat and power of Bollywood together and enjoy Shah Rukh Khan. Let's watch. So beautiful songs, the enormous power of Bollywood, Ambassador.
Yes, Well, I would like to narrate a very recent incident which took place a few months ago, actually late last year, when there were some Indians who were staying in UK and they were trying to book a holiday in Egypt, and they were having some difficulty in transferring the money to the travel agent. But when the Egyptian travel agent found out that he asked them, "Where are you from?" So they said, "Oh, we are from India." So he said, "Oh, you're from the land of Shah Rukh Khan."
Yeah.
And he said, "We trust the people from India." And he said, "Never mind, I will make your booking, and when you come here, you can make the payment."
You see how this is the effect and the impact of soft power. Yeah.
And I just wanted to add that this was conveyed through a tweet. These days everybody is using social media, so the Indian family put out a tweet that this is what the Egyptian travel agent said, and Shah Rukh Khan saw that. And Shah Rukh Khan again put out a tweet, and Shah Rukh Khan sent a gift to the Egyptian travel agent. And these tweets went completely viral in the Indian social media, and I don't know, I mean, hundreds of millions of Indians have seen these tweets. So this is how, you know, the social media, Bollywood can combine to continue to make, also contribute to the relations
and contribute to the bond. We were talking also about yoga, and it has become really a very much an integral part of Indian culture, and India is a dream destination for yoga. Yoga is indeed a very important and integral part of the Indian culture. Yoga is a way to learn, Ambassador. What are the lessons taught from yoga, in your opinion?
Well, yoga is a very old Indian tradition. It goes back thousands of years. It was written about over 3,000 years ago in detail. But I must say that it has become much more popular after our Prime Minister Narendra Modi came to power in 2014, because he does yoga on a very regular basis. And yoga was more being done by certain people in India, but he has popularized it. And now hundreds of millions of Indians are doing it. Now the advantages of yoga are that firstly you can do it at home. You know, you can do it in your room, you can do it in even if you're traveling, you can do it in your hotel, you can do it in the garden. You don't require any equipment other than a mat. I think you save a lot of time, because any other exercise that you do today, you know, it takes you an hour and a half, to go there and come back.
Right.
The other thing is that yoga can be done according to different levels of difficulty. Even if there is no demand, you can do as much as you like, and all of it has benefits. So yoga is not something which is very complicated or very convoluted. In fact, I practice yoga every day in the morning, and I do fairly simple exercises, but it greatly helps. Thirdly, yoga, when it is done over a period of time, helps to make you very positive, makes your mind stronger. It helps you to concentrate. It makes you a happier person, which is what all of us want. And it contributes to your well-being, because it also helps to prevent diseases like hypertension, diabetes, some people say even cancer. It helps you to deal with stress.
Yes.
So a lot of the problems which urban life have brought today, yoga helps us to manage that effectively. So I would urge more and more Egyptians to take up yoga. It will really help them a lot. But it's not very difficult. It's very easy, and there is no compulsion that you have to do something very difficult.
We'll be trying yoga also, Ambassador, since you told us about the benefits. Bollywood, the land of festivals. India is very much well known of being the land of festivals, lots of festivals, and this actually is considered to be attracting lots of tourists to India, being the land of festivals. Also, there are similarities, I guess, between us, I mean, in history regarding the Egyptian pharaonic temples and the Hindu temples.
Yes, well, I was extremely surprised during my travels to find that there are so many similarities. Firstly, we have, the pharaonic gods. You have Amun-Ra, who's the sun god.
The sun god.
We also have a sun god, the Surya. And then you have goddesses of love, Isis. Recently I was in Luxor, they said there's a goddess of knowledge and writing. So we similarly have goddesses of learning,
and knowledge.
We have a god of wisdom and knowledge. So this is something which is very similar. Then I recently went, just last week, I went to Luxor to the temple of Madinath Habi, and I found it was very fascinating that the manner in which the Pharaohs were worshipping the gods was very similar to what is done in India, because they were offering the gods flowers, they were offering them incense, they were offering them a lamp, which is what we still practice. And last year when I visited Aswan and saw the Philae temple and the Abu Simbel temple, I saw that Nefertiti is blessing Ramesses III. She is blessing him with his hand like this. And all the Indian gods and goddesses, when they give blessings,
King Ramses II.
Yes.
Yes.
All the Indian gods and goddesses they bless. And even the elders, even today, when they bless the children or the youngsters, they bless them like this. So there are these amazing similarities, and I actually I found that in Luxor all the memorials, the tombs are on the west bank, while the temples and the palaces are on the east bank, and that is very similar to in Hinduism, where again the west is considered, moving to the west when the person dies, he moves to the west. So I was really very, very surprised and fascinated to see these similarities.
Yes. We are still enjoying the Indian aura and the Indian culture. Since history, those relations between Egypt and India has been developing since the time of late President Nasser, and Your Excellency has commented on this journey in time and this sense of warm welcome that the late President of Egypt received in India. Well, we're still enjoying the enormous beat also of Bollywood here on Nile TV International, while this special dedication living the beat of India tonight and enjoying the soft power, India's soft power and culture, the land of festivals. Short break, we'll be back. So you can see the enormous impact of Bollywood and the festivals, the Indian culture and soft power. Definitely a very important link and bridge, Ambassador.
Yes. Well, we will be organizing India by the Nile in October in Cairo and other cities, and there will be a number of activities ranging from Bollywood dance to Indian cuisine, music, yoga, etc. So I would invite Egyptians to participate fully in the festival. And also a note about Bollywood, increasingly the Bollywood films are being released across the world, and even in the time that I have been here, I have seen several films being released in theaters across Egypt. Films like Suryavanshi, RRR has become a very big, very popular film. And last year in December, an Indian film was shot in Cairo, Khuda Hafiz 2. So you can go to the theaters and watch Bollywood films too.
That's great, great news. We're always interested in Indian soft power and culture, and Viva Egypt, Viva India. Well, tonight, Ambassador, we celebrated 75 years, 75th anniversary of Egyptian-Indian relations. I thank so much His Excellency Ambassador Ajit Gupte, Ambassador of India to Cairo, for coming to Nile TV International and having this lovely episode marking the strength and solid foundation of our relations. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me over. It's always a pleasure.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you. And thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. That was the daily debate for tonight, Wednesday debate, and I'm Taghreed Hussein, thanking you all for watching.